When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit language and spoilers. This is Behind the Iron Throne, your unofficial Game of Thrones cast.
Well, hello, everyone. Hashtag Thronies. Beat it for the win. Oh, boy, we got a very special episode for you tonight. This is episode 168. Oh, my God. I'm going to tell you, I am so excited with my team. I'm going to go through my team real quick. I want to apologize for not being here last week. My microphone died, but John, you did a phenomenal job leading the pack. And, of course, the rest of the team did a phenomenal job following your lead. And I'm very proud of every one of you on the team. You guys are just awesome. So, John, welcome to the show, my friend. I'm going to have you host a little bit more so I can take a little break.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I was nervous at first, but I thought I did okay. Anytime you want to switch your roles and you want to take my seat, I'll be happy to that, Chris. But I'm glad you're back.
Thank you. That's right. I am back. The breaker of cables. And microphones.
Cords.
Cords. That's right. The breaker of cords.
Yeah, it was adorable, by the way, DJ.
Yeah, definitely. Big shout out. Andrea, welcome to the show. Mistress of Whispers. What's up, girl?
What's going on? Oh, my gosh. I'm so excited to be here. You guys, I missed you guys. We didn't see each other we didn't get to talk on Wednesday, and I'm really happy I'm here with you guys again.
Yeah, it's good. I missed you guys, and I felt so lonely just sitting there watching. But I was in the chat having a good time with everybody, so that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it was hilarious, but yeah, we missed you. I missed all of your freaking free reactions. We're gonna have to catch up.
We're definitely going to. Now that I'm almost moved, the new studio is almost done. The internet's connected. I just got to run all the wire. It's a lot of stuff. I posted a video of my house disaster, so you can check it out on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne. And of course, we do this podcast live each and every single week. Just got to be a member of our Facebook page. Next, we have the one, the only, the man with the Valyrian steel Gatling gun. John, remember that. Valyrian steel Gatling gun. He is the one, the only, the Militant Marker Yardley. What's up, buddy?
Hey, doing great, man. Getting ready to talk some Game of Thrones, and we're in the final leg of the race, so I'm excited.
And, of course, our very own Dovahkiin, Master of Dragons. She should be very excited. What's up, Trin?
I am super excited to be here, and Drunk Trin might show up tonight, but we'll see. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I had to reset my Windows. I'm hoping my sound quality is okay.
Yes, it should be okay. I think it's more important that we have you here because we love you so much. So we're going to make it work one way or the other because this is a very special episode. I'm glad the whole team is here. Again, I'm sorry about last week, and I'm almost moved in, so that'll be good. I want to thank everybody real quick that's been with us for this whole year, this whole before season and during the season. We're one of a few podcasts that continue to record after the season is over. So please stick around and join us for the after season because we're going to keep trucking and recording, although I'm going to need a little bit of a break to get everything hooked up, but we'll talk about that later. In the meanwhile, this podcast is only made possible because of you and everyone that has donated to our cause or has signed up to our Patreon. If you haven't yet, don't worry. It's still possible to be a hero to the B-Tit Army. Just go to BehindTheIronThrone.com, and we'll have a link right there. You press on the link, you donate a little bit of money, and it helps us to keep recording all year and to pay for all the fucking shit I break, like microphones and mixers, because boy, oh boy, do I break a lot of shit. Anyway, let's get started, because there's a fuck ton of content here, and we may even have to break this up into like 3 episodes, because there's a ton of shit here. But let's start out with we open up with the Grey Worm standing out there in front of King's Landing. This was an amazing, visually amazing scene. The music was phenomenal. All the extras, I was just completely blown away. And I thought we were going to actually start attacking King's Landing here. Yardley, what were you thinking when this scene opens up? What were your thoughts here? Did you also think that it was going to be a massive battle?
No, I thought that it was definitely a show of force. Anytime you're in a situation like this, you kind of want to let the other side know where you're at. You kind of want to let them know that you're on point. And I think that both sides pretty much gave the indication that they were, at least at minimum, moderately prepared if any shenanigans were to jump off. So I thought that it was a pretty cool scene, kind of going around King's Landing and then the Dragon Pit. So I thought that it worked for the most part. And, it's always great when we see a lot of characters come together for the greater good.
I love the conversation between Bronn and Jaime. I always love those two characters when they're together, just as much as I loved Bronn and Tyrion. With the whole, I wouldn't fight in an army if I didn't have any cock. I thought that was a very interesting conversation these two characters had. That gave me a chuckle. Trent, how did you feel about this opening scene? And did you think they were going to go to battle, like they were getting everything ready for a fight?
They were kind of getting ready for a fight, but at the same time, they kind of knew this was a compromise, and there were some things. There were some things that needed to happen, like Cersei needed to face Daenerys and Jon, the king in the north. So I don't think there was too much terribly at the very, very beginning that they needed to worry about.
Yeah. Jonathan Stonemoss Starklever, my man from up top of the pan. What do you think of seeing the Dothraki show up? I know that you're a big lover of the Dothraki.
That was a crazy scene. It opens with the full, like, that Unsullied army in formation, and then just when you think that's enough, the Unsullied comes in. The Dothraki come in, and oh my god, that was awesome scene, man. That's crazy. Great visuals, man. I mean, Dany is showing her full force there.
Andrea, weren't you a little bit let down about not seeing some kind of little battle? I mean, I think that Dany could have just taken everything right then and there.
I actually wasn't let down. I was really happy that the way things worked out. I don't think that there was a scene in this whole entire episode that I wasn't over the moon with. I thought it was maybe a little bit silly to present her whole force, and I'm really hoping that she didn't do that, because just laying it bare for Cersei is a little crazy. I did love the massive amounts of troops that she had come in. The fact that the Dothraki were even screaming, even though they weren't approaching battle, they were just coming to rally outside of King's Landing. I mean, way to make the city look really small. And I thought that she was going to come in with her fleet, and she actually just came in with 5 ships, or at least Tyrion and Jon did. I don't know. I think that it looked really good, and I'm glad that there wasn't any fight scenes going on. I loved the dialogue between the Hound and Brienne, and I love the dialogue between the Hound and the Mountain, even though the Mountain said nothing. Those were pretty epic conversations for me. Yeah, you know who's coming for you. That was pretty fantastic. And then when Brienne... when the Hound said, well, if you're here, who's protecting her? And she said, she doesn't need protecting, basically. I thought that was pretty fantastic, too. He's still concerned about her, which I thought was adorable. I'm a big old softie at heart. I just love all the feelings, the really, sentimental moments. And those were some really good ones for me.
There was a lot of sentimental moments here. A lot of characters in the same room, if you will, in the same spot, talking and chatting and having a grand time. We also, I love the Tyrion was talking about the Dragon Pit. We got a little bit of history right there, and as they were walking to the meeting place, I agree. Seeing Brienne and the Hound together, at first I'm like, oh boy, it's going to be messy. But I tell you what really got me worried was when the Hound was below the deck, and he was messing around with the box that was holding the undead. I thought, oh, don't do something stupid like you did in the last episode with the Rock. Don't fuck with it. Just leave it alone. You know what I mean? Just leave it alone. And I also liked when we got to see Cersei and Jaime talking. The Mountain looks badass. I love the armor that he has. I loved seeing Pod and Tyrion again. Yardley, did you enjoy seeing Pod, Tyrion, and Bronn walking together on their way to meet Cersei and for their little meeting?
Yeah, I definitely like that. I probably would have preferred more time between Bronn and Pod on their own. I thought that would have been a pretty funny situation to see. But I thought that everything worked. One of the things that we were wondering in previous episodes, or at least the notion was brought up about the possibility of Braun maybe switching sides. And I know that he definitely has a reason to by the end of the episode with all of the things that happened with Jamie. But at least up to that point in the episode, Braun had seemed to be firmly in place on the side of the Lannisters. So pretty interesting thing to see. So I really felt it, and I thought that it played out pretty well.
There's a lot of great comments going on in the chat. I'll try to work them in here as we're going through each host because this is our shorter episode, but I'd like to work some of them in if I can. I think Kurt asked, where do you think Pod and Braun went when they left the Dragon Pit, Trin? Why don't you answer that? And I'm also curious what you thought of Brienne and the Hound in their little conversation. I thought they were going to fight each other, but I'm glad they didn't.
That's really funny because I took some notes during this episode, and one of the notes I took was Braun walks off with Pod. And I thought that was interesting because I don't know if you guys can hear me really well. I'm moving, so I've got some internet issues. But they said, let's leave this to like the noble houses or like the noble people. And Braun and Pod are kind of the same cloth. So Braun was like, let's walk off and leave this to the bougie people. And I don't remember what the second half of that was, but there was some serious tension when they got to the Dragon Pit.
I felt that same way, Trend. It was like I'm sitting there like on the edge of my chair wondering what the hell is going to happen. And I'm curious if John Stoma Starklever, if you felt the same way, if you could feel or if you could cut that tension with a knife. I'm sitting here like sweating bullets, like, oh my God, what the hell's going to happen?
I love this scene. If you think about it, this is 3/4 or more of the entire cast in one scene. We haven't had that since the first episode when they went to Winterfell. I mean, everyone but maybe four or five cast members was in that scene, and having Brienne talk to the Hound. I thought the Hound was going to mention Tormund for some reason. Like, I met your boyfriend, Tormund. That would have been awesome. But I mean, Braun and Tyrion and Pod have always been good together. I was so funny to see those guys. I love Tyrion's like, I'm glad to see you, and he's like, I'm glad to see you too. So I'm like, they've always been friends. It's awesome.
The dragon, Drogon, when Andrea showed up at the Dragon Pit, what I meant to say was, when Dany shows up at the Dragon Pit on Drogon, that was a pretty epic entrance, although you have to wonder. The effect, I think, was pretty good, although Cersei didn't seem to care so much as everyone else did. I think she was just playing tough girl, you know what I mean? And I was wondering, Andrea, if you would have popped in on your dragon like a boss.
I actually thought that it was probably the best entrance that Daenerys has ever had in the entire series. I thought that this was perfect. I mean, Cersei was visibly irritated that Daenerys wasn't there. I mean, she was like, the nerve of me having to wait on somebody else in King's Landing, my home, basically. Very pompous of Cersei. And then Daenerys is swooping on Drogon, and he's just this huge, huge beast. And you see him. I was actually really surprised to see the size of the Dragon Pit. So when you see Drogon come in there, you see how huge he is compared to it. And I think it was just meant to like escalate how he appeared on screen. But she was such a boss when he was like down on the ground and boom, she's already on his wing, like no fucks given. I thought that it was epic. And then, for her to sit down and Cersei goes, "We've been here for quite some time. My apologies." Like, oh well. I thought it was awesome. I thought that her entrance was perfect.
Now, traffic, man.
Yeah. Well, now, so finally we get to Tyrion's trying to talk. They're trying to have their little meeting, their little peace talk here, and of course Euron's got to be a dick, and he gets up and starts running his mouth, being a smart ass, and then finally Cersei says, "Sit down or leave," and then the mountain walks over, and I'm thinking, oh boy, oh shit, and then of course. That was interesting as well, and I forgot to mention that I missed the part where the Hound and the Mountain are like face to face, and the Mountain's like, "You always knew I was coming for you." So I think there may be a Clegane Bowl. I know a lot of people in the chat are saying the same thing.
Clegane Bowl!
Yeah, you think it's going to happen, right, guys?
Yes.
Has to happen, man.
There are so many comments going through. Keep the conversation going, guys. I'll try to pull out what I can. Phenomenal job. I love you, B Titties. I love you.
Yes.
I want to squeeze you all. Anywho, so we have Euron being a smart ass. Cersei says, sit down or shut up or get out or whatever. And then, of course, like like a boss, the Hound is carrying the box on his back, walking towards the meeting, drops it, opens it up, and at first, I don't know what you thought, Yardley, but at first, I didn't think I thought the dead was going to just roll out, just be dead. I was a little bit scared. I might have jumped out of my chair, but I don't think you did because you're like a boss.
Yeah, when he was hitting the top of it, I just knew it was going to come blazing out of the front of it, and I thought it was interesting that made Cersei's antenna actually perk up. I think in the case of Drogon, she kind of knew what to expect, and I really did like her still face in that moment. But it almost seemed like when she was actually faced with something that was dead, it kind of did something to her. You know, you've got death, and she's sitting in the chair pregnant, which is life. So I think that kind of did a lot to her in that moment. So I don't have any doubt in my mind that Cersei understands that there is a huge threat, but we kind of find out the plan that she has for it a little later in the episode. But I thought that sequence played very well. It seemed like that they practiced their demonstration a little bit before they left. They kind of knew what to do. And Sir Davos lights the flame, and they show that it can be burned and only killed with dragon glass. So I think that they hit all of the bullet points. And I guess even though that this is a fantasy, how it played out was pretty believable.
I agree with Steve in the chat room. I thought that the undead walker was going to be dead by the time it got to King's Landing. I'm glad that whatever keeps it animated did not stop after it crossed the wall. So we're learning more and more things as we go as well. All these little bits of information that we're going to break down. Believe me, Andrea has already started breaking this stuff down. Trust me, everyone.
Right.
You know that she has. Now, Trin, this scene was pretty cool. I thought that Cersei, her face, she was fucking scared. Her face gave her away at that moment. Did you see that as well? And did you enjoy the walker going at her, balls to the wall?
You're absolutely right. She had a stone cold face the whole time, and she kept her bearing the whole time. And then all of a sudden, you've got this crazy, wild zombie thing coming to attack her, and it's like meters away from her, and you could see the change in her. I think at that moment when Tyrion walked out afterwards, it was kind of a checkmate for her. Tyrion was explaining, hey, this is what's really going on. And we have this petty sort of bullshit politics thing going on. Checkmate. That's the impression that I got. You can't kill these things without either dragon glass or fire. So what are you going to do?
I was surprised he didn't mention Valyrian steel there, but we'll break that down in another episode. I'm curious to know, though, what Jonathan Stonemaw Starklover thought about Jaime looking kind of shocked when Cersei was running her mouth. You know, like, what's going on here? Because I know how much you hate the Lannisters. Not to mention, when Qyburn starts picking up dead limbs that are still moving, as soon as Qyburn got up, the first thing I'm thinking of is this fucking creepy bastard is up to no good. He wants to make his own army. I mean, this guy's messed up. John, what are your thoughts on this scene?
I thought that first when they wasn't moving, I thought it was already dead. So it would just be like a pile of bones. Then when it came out, it was awesome. It was it was an amazing scene. I mean, like it scared it really scared the shit out of Cersei. She's like, what the fuck? I mean, for a second, I believe Euron was scared too, but I guess he was playing. It is very serious, and probably the reason he didn't mention Valyrian steel is because there's not enough Valyrian steel in Westeros. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a crazy scene. For some reason, the Hound has funny moments with White Walkers. It's hilarious. Going back to last week.
Yeah, this scene was pretty awesome, and I can't wait, Andrea, to find out all the information that you were able to bring in from it.
Actually, I wanted to say that I'm actually pretty happy that they didn't mention Valyrian steel because it's such a rare resource that would make it very hard to get at. But Yeah, the scene with the White Walker, the first thing that I actually really I think I wrote in the notes was that Qyburn was interested in the science of it all. You know, he was very curious. He got right up off the dais and he walked over there and picked up the limb. He was like as if he didn't believe it was true. And then, you know, when everybody else came up later on to check it out, like it was just, I thought the whole entire thing was really interesting. Qyburn's curiosity gets the best of him every single time. And yeah, Cersei was petrified of the whole entire thing, but at the same time, she just doesn't care. It's not that she doesn't understand. I agree with you, Yardley. She just could care less.
Yardley, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, and something else that I thought was great about the scene was after everything was over and it kind of seems like everybody is in peril because things start to go downhill, I thought that another great scene was Brienne grabbing Jamie's arm and basically saying, you know, fuck loyalty. You've seen what this thing can do. This is bigger than a lot of us. You kind of have to corral your sister in. And I thought that that was great because it actually set up what happens later in the episode. And one of the things that this episode actually made me smile about was just the thought of at some point you're going to get Jamie, Brienne, and Tormund in the same scene. So I'm probably very excited for that to happen.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool. Qyburn was having a great day. A lot of people in the chat are agreeing that this was Qyburn's like Christmas Day, getting all these pieces and playing with them.
Yeah.
Charles even says he could be the salvation or the breaker of us all. So great points in the chat. Keep them coming. Definitely like it. All right. Another part I thought was very well. Euron's like, fuck you, I'm out. I'm going to the island. These things can't swim. No fucks given. See you all later. Go fuck yourself. Goodbye. Which I believed. And I thought, okay, well, that's how they're getting rid of him. We find out later that's not the case. Cersei initially accepts. And I thought, yes, I was excited. I literally jumped out of my chair thinking, yes, finally a prediction that I've made after 4 years of podcasting has come true, that Cersei would have to side with everybody for the fight for life. And I was, again, wrong. I was wrong. If anybody ever wants to make money betting on Game of Thrones stuff, just listen to my show and bet on everything the opposite that I say, and you will make millions. Just don't forget poor little me. Now, here's another cool thing I thought in this scene. I'm going to go around the room here and see what everyone else thought. When Jon says, no, I'm going to do the honorable thing like my daddy, and I'm going to say, F you. I already bent the knee to Dany. I pledged to Dany. Of course, I also believe that he was thinking with his little head as much as his big head and caused a small issue. Yardley, do you think this was wise of him to do this, or do you think that, I mean, it was his character, right? It's what we expected.
Well, it wasn't wise, but it was totally something that he didn't have to do. I mean, you don't always have to go that extra mile with anything. You know, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that things go as smoothly as possible. And I think that that's just one of those cases of being a little bit too extra. But at the end of the day, it ended up working out. But I don't know if it was necessarily the best tactic. You know, sometimes you don't want to always put yourself out there. And even Dany seemed taken aback that was something that he would do. But hey, for all in all, you know, it worked out, brother.
This is a good point. Trent, do you think that Jon was kind of thinking with his big head or his little head? Do you think he was trying to be honorable like his dad, or do you think this had something to do with his emotional feelings towards Dany?
Kind of both. I think that he definitely is his father's son, and so he's going to relay anything that is honorable. And he definitely bent the knee while he was on the ship to Dany. So he's not going to go back on his word because he is all about oaths. He was all about his oath to the Night's Watch until they murdered him and he was released from his oath. And then they made him King of the North. So he's doing everything he can to save his people. But I think he realized that saving his people means he's going to join up with the Queen of the South, or whatever Dany is right now. And he's he can't serve two queens. He knows that, and everybody else knows that, and he's honorable.
All right, John. I know that you're dying. You got to be so happy right now. Your boy playing a Ned Stark trick. Go ahead, let loose. Let it all come out, buddy.
He's his father's son. I mean, he even says, "Listen, Ned, my father's word cost him his life." I mean, John said that, but he's like, if I lie, more lies, I can't quote it verbatim, but I mean, I see his point. I mean, he bent the knee to Daenerys. He's not going to turn it back after what she did to him. I mean, she saved him. I mean, it's, and I don't see why Cersei had to make that an issue for it. It's not like the John is going to send his army into the south. I mean, Cersei was trying to be like a little, Cersei's trying to be a little bitch there because John cares about the north. He didn't even march
Cersei was
at
trying
all.
to separate people.
Yeah, she's trying to separate. I mean, this is all on. I mean, and Cersei. I mean, I'll get to Cersei later. I mean, but she's batshit crazy.
Oh, she's definitely something. Andrea, how did you feel about the scene? And don't you think it was kind of smart from Cersei's perspective to say, "I'll help you, but Jon Snow, you can't join in the fight after we fight the dead."
I don't think that she ever really thought that John would, quite honestly. I think that she was just looking for a way to, try to weaken Daenerys by any measure. Actually, I thought that this situation with John, even though he could have been thinking with, his little head, I think that it was a good contrast to the rest of the episode, though, where you have people who, like Sansa said, are wind vanes. Cersei, yeah, we'll march. Only if. No, then we're not going to march. Oh, yeah, we're going to march. And then she gets back inside the Red Keep. No, we're not going to march. The Greyjoys. No, we're not going to go with you. We're going to go to some island. And then Theon kicks what's-his-face's ass. And then they're all like, for Yara. They're all wind vanes, So I thought that this was a good contrast for John, being a man of his word, even though, it's not always the right military tactic. It was, it goes to show you that how worthy he is of, all of the things that he's achieved. And I thought it was absolutely amazing to see him, be a man of his convictions. He said he said that he would serve Daenerys. He didn't actually bend the knee. He still hasn't bent the knee. Well, not until he got to Bangtown. But he's a man of his word. And I think that for Daenerys, that was important, even if it wasn't necessarily wise.
Oh, those are excellent points. I have to say that, no, I agree with what you're saying. I definitely agree with you. Trin, you're back. That's good to have you back. Having some internet issues tonight, but we're working through it, and the show is doing wonderful. I want to remind everybody that you can join us live whenever we do at BehindTheIronThrones.com, or you can go to Facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne. If you are a member of our BTIT Club community, you'll get a notification when we go live. We love to have you guys here and in the chat room. Right now, the chat is going so fast. I'm trying to see if there's anything I can pick out, and I will pick out as much as I can whenever possible to weave into the show, which I'm still blown away. It's the season finale. It doesn't feel like that should be, I just feel so wrong.
Right. You people need to show up on Wednesday this week because we are going to do a full breakdown and we'll do a really long episode and we're going to give you all the details and we're going to give you lots and lots and lots of information so that you can have your Game of Thrones fix throughout the week.
Thank you, Krista, for welcoming me back. I'm glad to be back. Wednesday, it may be Wednesday or this weekend. It depends. I'm trying to get my studio finished so I can actually do the show in my studio and not in this bedroom that my in-laws are letting me use. Okay, so let's go to Tyrion and Jaime. Goodbye from one idiot to another. Yardley, the scene with Tyrion and Cersei, I feel like we got a lot of... I really enjoyed this scene. And I thought it was emotional for both characters.
Yeah, it was a scene that was a long time coming, and actually putting together some of the things that we saw in this scene and what we saw later on in the episode, it kind of makes me think that Tyrion and Cersei discussed a little bit more than we know about. And I guess we can get more in depth, or I'll talk a little bit more about that on Wednesday. But it was a great scene. I thought that both actors, as usual, really did play off of each other well. Definitely in that room that Tywin used to sit in where he would work out certain strategies. You had more than one moment of tension. And I think the realest part of that scene for me was after Tyrion shit his pants and he went to get some wine. The one thing, and we all of us drinkers know, the one thing that brings people together is the fact that he poured a glass of wine and gave it to his sister. So that at minimum, that was something that they could both relate to in that situation. So I could have definitely used more about this scene, but I think the fact that Tyrion saw the bump in Cersei's belly during the conversation, I thought that was great. The tension with him potentially thinking that the mountain was going to cut him down, which is kind of funny because at the end of the day, it would probably have been the mountain that would have beheaded Tyrion had it been a clean fight with Oberyn. But I thought the scene was pretty good, and I think that there was more to it that we didn't see. But after a rewatch, we'll definitely revisit this on the next show.
You know, it's funny when this particular scene happened, and Tyrion takes a gulp after almost. I honestly thought he was dying, right then and there. I thought he was going to lose his head. He did not thank the Maker, but I thought that was going to happen. And then he gulps down the wine and he pours her a glass, and she didn't drink it. It took me a second to realize, wait a minute, she's not drinking it. Oh yeah, that's right, she's prego. I forgot. John, did you find any of this scene touching? Like the way they were both, like she was upset and I thought he was going to cry and maybe a tear did come out of his eye.
I found it a little bit touching, even though they're Lannisters. I found it interesting that Cersei had a chance to kill Tyrion and she didn't do it, which means deep down, I guess she didn't want to really kill Tyrion. I mean, because she knows Tywin dying kind of put her on the throne. So there's that. I like the fact that Tyrion's like, I've always loved those kids. You know that. And she kind of does know that. And I'm with Yarly. I'm wondering what was said off camera. Like, is there a plan in motion? Well, it doesn't matter because if Jaime's heading there, it's all for naught. But, I mean, yeah, very, very touching. Tyrion has some balls on him for going in to see the one person who hates him the most. It's crazy.
Yeah. I thought it was nice, though, that Tyrion, said, I loved Marcella. I loved your children. I love them all, and I believe every moment, every bit of that. Andre, did you think that we were going to lose Tyrion? Did you have any fear of him dying in this scene? Did I ask you or Andrea? I thought I asked Andrea.
You did.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
Sorry, the pause threw me off.
I kind of was worried for Tyrion because it reminded me of last episode when Daenerys was talking about men being brave, and this was Tyrion being brave. But I also understood his point and thought it was necessary. So even though it was risky, it was the only thing that he could do. Otherwise, they were all going to die anyways, And then I saw Tyrion take the drink, and then pour another one. I'm like, okay, great. He needs another one. And then he handed it to Cersei. At that point, to me, it really felt like Cersei was trying to get him to notice that she was pregnant. She just wasn't hiding it very well at all. She was rubbing her stomach and she was leaning back and she wasn't touching her wine. And, Tyrion's a smart guy. He's really clever. It made me really sad that she wasn't willing to hear him say, that he was just as upset to hear about, the kids. But it also made me really upset to hear her say that she blamed him for Tommen's death, or even Marcella's, it wasn't even that, she's the one who put them through that, or otherwise Oberyn wouldn't have been dead. So I don't know. There was a lot of really good things that were happening in that situation. I really love the fact that Tyrion, gave it his all. I mean, I don't know I hope he didn't believe that she was sincere when she said she would help. But I'm happy with Jaime's response to the whole situation. And it was overall, it worked for me. I think that Cersei was planning on showing, which kind of makes me go back to last week. I think somebody said they thought that Cersei was playing Jaime when she said she was pregnant. And that kind of made me feel like she was trying to play Tyrion's sympathies.
Yeah, Tiffany and Renee in the chat, yay, love you guys. Were also, it crossed their mind thinking that it might have been Tyrion's end. And to kind of speak to some of the chat, people saying that Cersei will never admit that anything was her fault. And most human beings are like that. Lots of times people don't want to admit when something is their own fault. It's human nature. And Cersei's character being batshit crazy also feeds into that a little bit. And it just, what a great show we have here. They've been writing it very well. It's a very raw fantasy. I really like it. So moving right along here, I want to talk about the conversation. Well, I'm going to talk about a couple things, and then I'll let my hosts fill in all the blanks because they're the real pros here, not me. I'm just a mouthpiece. But what I thought was cool was the Jon and Dany conversation when they're holding little tiny dragon skulls all over the place, and when Tyrion starts walking back, I thought, okay, he doesn't look like this isn't going to work, and then we see Cersei coming behind, and I thought, okay, and she's like, oh, we're going to help you. Now I wrote down in my notes, I knew it, united, exclamation mark. And of course, we all know how that goes later on. Again, I can never get anything right. Did you guys enjoy this particular scene? And did you guys know, Yardley, did you know that Cersei was playing false here?
Well, you're talking about with the ultimate plan that she had at the end of the day?
No, when she showed up after Tyrion came back, and she's like, okay, we're going to help you guys. We're going to help you guys fight, and I want you to remember, and I know that you will, that I helped you without any favors from you.
Well, she came out a little too crisp, so I kind of figured that there was probably some shenanigans going on with that, because from her point of view, which what's ultimately her plan is for everybody to kind of thin themselves out, and for her to strengthen herself and kind of retake places that have already been taken because they're distracted. I think that is a legitimate thing to think about. I mean, for me, it's more strange that people would think that people wouldn't kind of have alternative plans, through all of this. I mean, I don't think that it's odd for her to think that maybe they're trying to play her in another way. I mean, for me, for you to try to cover your own ass, that's a good thing. It's not a crazy thing. However, having saw what we all saw, which is scary, and the army of the dead is coming, I don't really see there being a negative to people wanting to act on the bigger picture. And I think that this is one of the things that might eventually be Cersei's downfall, is that she kind of refuses to open herself up to being exposed in some type of a fashion. So I thought that it was a ruse, but that's the scary thing about Cersei. When she smiles, it's scarier than when she's yelling at you.
Eric says that Lena Headey should get an Emmy for this year, and she should. She did a phenomenal job playing Cersei. And Mama Cheryl, I think she said that she knew something was not right, so she gets a gold star. A lot of people in the chat should get gold stars because they were all convinced that she was up to something, where my dumbass thought that I was going to get something right for a change. Randall made a good point when he said they were playing past the dragon skull. So whoever was holding the dragon skull was allowed to talk, and then when the dragon skull got passed back to Dany, then she could talk and back and forth. John, did you notice that?
Yeah, I did notice that. That was a good scene. For what I did not buy Cersei joining forces not 1 second of this whole episode. Even I was waiting for Cersei to do some kind of attack. Well, okay, like some kind of setup thing, and it didn't happen. But I mean, I don't buy it for 1 second. She only cares about herself. Okay, she's gonna rule. What are you gonna rule when everyone's gone in the north fighting? Why you need a golden company? There's gonna be no armies for you to take back. I mean, you're fucking batshit crazy at this point. I mean, I'm sorry. I hope she dies. I hope she dies a horrible death, because you're not thinking the big picture. You just care about yourself. You selfish little bitch. Sorry for swearing.
That's
Fuck.
Okay. That's all right.
God damn it. They bring you this evidence. You still fucking don't care. Fucking bitch.
Andrea, the Cersei in the show is definitely smarter than the books on Cersei. I'm enjoying this very much so. And of course, her Lena Headey's acting skills. What were your thoughts about the scene?
Oh, Lena Headey's amazing. Actually, I feel like Cersei in the books is still pretty clever. I mean, even Cersei in the show got messed up with the High Sparrow. I mean, but I still think that she's equally as clever in the books. I mean, anybody who has their back against the wall, who has nothing to lose, is going to be who Cersei is. I didn't believe her. just because I don't trust Cersei for anything. But I found myself of an opinion watching the show tonight that had certain people not interfered, then maybe possibly Cersei wouldn't be the terrible lion that she is. I mean, she's just like this awful, like terrible lioness, and without the influence of other, contributing factors, she might even be halfway decent. So kind of, you also feel bad for Cersei in this situation, and she doesn't really have anything to lose. If they win, if they win, she's going back to war and she could die. If they lose, that she could still lose. You know what I mean? So I mean, do her own thing. It's perfectly Cersei. You know what I mean? I'm not surprised by anything that happened here. Really happy to see Tyrion come back alive, and I really loved the dialogue between Jon and Dany, with Dany telling them, telling Jon about their lineage, not just, her father or things like that, but like the lineage of House Targaryen, and, saying, we not really conscientiously knowing that Jon's a Targaryen too. It was just like all of the double meanings and the subcontext that was there. I just really thought it was beautiful. And he goes, you're not, he goes, you guys aren't gone. You're still here. And then the conversation about, how do you know you can't have kids? He was basically like, well, I'm going to help you have kids at this point. Like, It was really kind of like, I caught on to that. Like, it was, too. I don't know. I thought it was beautiful watching Jon and Daenerys talk about, the dragon pit, and how she was disgusted by how they kept the dragons locked up, and how they were only special because they had their dragons, and not having dragons is what made them not special. I mean, it was really nice to see that Daenerys actually got it. She understood like where her people went wrong, and I loved it.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. I also thought that, I wonder if, just that whole prophecy, or the witch, Mary, what's her name? Mary Mazdul. Mazdul. Is that how you say her name, Andrea?
Mary Mazdur.
Yeah, maybe she was just playing her false. I don't know, but wouldn't that have been a bitch? Anywho, Krista mentioned in the chat that we should also do a like a nod to the music. The music in the Game of Thrones is phenomenal. And every episode this season has not failed in terms of the way that the music, the ambiance, it's just enough to set the tone, but it's not enough to overpower each scene, which I find they did a very, very good job. This is movie quality production on a show level, which is phenomenal. It's just amazing. All right, so I'm going to go to Winterfell. Peter wants to unnamed, he's messing with Sansa again. He's playing his little games. And I thought, oh, wow, Peter is being Peter again. And Peter likes to play a little game to figure people out. Yardley, this particular scene, did you think that we finally got to see Littlefinger again? Because he'd been kind of absent in terms of his behavior for the last 4 episodes, I think.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, he's kind of been in the wind, so to speak, doing this thing. So I think he's just doing what he does. He actually wants just to get Sansa to expose as much as she can, because as he stated in a couple of episodes ago, that you want to be able to see things happening, in all directions, all at the same time. So he's trying to keep his information full. So I think he was just being who he is for one last time.
Yes. John, your thoughts on this particular scene?
The long con is almost at an end, Peter. I mean, I was just waiting. She is playing him so hard. I just love this scene. She is just playing Peter so hard in this scene, and Peter's just like, oh my God, just get it over with already.
Thinking back to that scene, I felt bad for him because he was like, so, now let me tell you how to read people. And then I'm thinking, later on, I'm like, oh man, you fucked up, buddy. Andre, your thoughts on the scene?
# long con.
Yes.
That's awesome. Everyone in the chat is agreeing. Also, Jeremy says, Andrea called this whole episode. Yes.
She did.
That's
Not
true.
all of it. I've been wrong. I'm taking notes of all the things that I have to cop to when we get off this episode.
Yeah, it's literally like 2 things. Probably it. Meanwhile, if you're watching the live show right now, and I hope you are, Behind the Iron Throne, at facebook.com, Behind the Iron Throne, I have notes of stuff that I've messed up. Yes, I'm going to have to spank myself later on. All right, let's move on. I'm gonna combine some stuff here. Dragonstone. So Danny and John are gonna sail together on the boat. Ooh. We know what happens then. Theon and John conversation was very nice. I feel like we've got a lot of closure on these different characters and their relationships, and I felt like this whole season has been a lot of that, where we're getting a little bit of history lessons. We're getting characters that haven't seen each other for a long time uh, to kind of get over their skeletons in the closets, and of course, new characters meeting for or characters that have never met for the first time. They did a phenomenal job balancing all that and the action and moving the story this season, and they did not disappoint me in this particular season finale. We also have, after the conversation between John and Theon, when John's like, "Well, why are you still talking to me? I forgave you. Get out of here. Go save your sister." And he goes and meets with his Ironborn brothers on the beach, and I thought he was going to get the shit kicked out of him, but he seemed to hold his own. Yardley, what are your thoughts on these particular scenes here?
You know what? The main scene that I want to touch on, and the one that stuck out the most to me in the episode, was probably the scene between John and Theon. The episode had a lot of nice um, parts where different people came together and kind of said their piece on certain things. But this stuck out the most to me. And I think it's mainly because it was kind of closure. I think it's really understandable for John to say, hey, look, I can't forgive you for everything, but for the things that I can forgive you for, I do. And also when he mentions that, you never lost him. He's a part of you when referring to Ned Stark. And when he said that you're a Greyjoy and you're a Stark, I thought that was really strong, because one of the reasons why Theon did the things that he did, and you could follow that thread in the books, and you can also follow it in the episode where Ramsay had first captured Theon, or before he revealed that he was going to be Theon's enemy, was that Theon never fully felt like he was a part of the Stark family. He was always being told he wouldn't get anything. He was always told he was going to be a warg. Robb Stark was the main culprit in doing that in the books, and it was mentioned on the show. So the fact that John was like, yo, you're a part of my family. You might not have always been able to feel that way. And John, of all people, is very understanding, because he also felt like an outcast in that family as well. I think that those two characters have more in common than not. But I thought that season was touching. And actually, that interaction with John was what propelled him to do what came next, which was to comically win that fight.
Excellent points. Jonathan Stonemas Darklever, before I let you go, I just want to mention that we had lost Trin. Her internet went down. We miss her. She's here in spirit. We love you, Trin. She was in the chat, but I don't know. Her internet's really bad. She's also in the process of moving. She's in the stage I was in a week and a half ago. So Godspeed, or Lore, or whatever God you need to help you get through it. It was a pain in the ass for me, and I know what you're going through. But we love you. We know you're here in spirit. And we'll get you back on the show if we can, or if not, in another episode. All right, Jonathan Stonemas Starklever, what did you think about the Theon and Jon Snow conversation?
Oh, I loved it so much. I mean, I love the callbacks to Ned in this episode. There's been a few. I mean, he said you're a Stark and a Greyjoy. I mean, Theon's admitted back in one of the seasons 3, he's like, my true father died at King's Landing. I mean, so there's that. I think he's kind of forgiven. I think the Starks kind of forgive him. I know Sansa's forgiven him. I don't know about Arya, but John says, I'm not going to quote it verbatim, but he's like, I don't know if I can forgive you, but I can't remember, but he kind of forgave him too. And he's like, it was such a touching scene, man. Like Theon admitted to what he did. He's like, I know. And then I love John's like, there's Neds in you. And it was really touching. And I think that's what gave him the courage to go and get back his sister.
Awesome. Andrea, I guess his fellow Ironborn don't realize that you can't kick a eunuch in the nuts because it doesn't do anything to him, really?
That guy was wheezing. He was so tired. I don't
Yes,
even think he was freaking. I don't even think he realized that he was kicking somebody who had been castrated. I mean, poor Theon, but he didn't even care. What I thought was awesome was there was that huge parallel. I mean, there was this beautiful conversation between Theon and Jon, where Jon, I agree with Yardley. I mean, one of the things that touched me the most was when he said, "How do I choose?" And he says, "You don't have to. You're a Greyjoy. And you're a Stark." I was just like, yes, say that because you are a Targaryen and you're a Stark, bro. And so seeing him down there on that beach and him getting the shit kicked out of him, like it didn't even matter to him. He just, he got over his fears. He was like, yeah, I was a fucking coward. I fucking jumped off the ship, but I don't care. Like we're going to go save her. And they were like, no, we're going to go get an island. And he was like, no, we swore an oath. Like, that's the bottom line. We're done with that. Yara's not here, but that we swore an oath. That's it, And then he started to kick Theon's ass, and Theon just was taking it, and he started getting hella tired. And I was like, ooh, Bronn, I see you. And then, he kicked him in his nuts, and you saw Theon with his fucking victory smile, He just had the goofiest grin on his face, like, bitch, you fucked up. And then you saw him kicking his ass, just like fucking Jon was beating down Ramsay last season. So I thought that was a really, really nice parallel, and I was really happy for Theon that he finally got a pair of balls.
Nice. All right, let's go back to Winterfell. Sansa plus Bran, Creeper plus Arya. Wow, I did not see this coming. I thought that Arya was in trouble. I thought we were going to see some like Matrix shit going on here, and Arya like slow motion killing every motherfucker in that room, and it turns out that it was all for Peter Baelish and his fucking like he was like what? That was awesome. I might have to make some kind of meme with that. He was completely fucking shocked. Yardley, this scene, awesome.
What was really cool about this is now we see the purpose of, I can't remember his first name, but Royce, the leader of the Vale's army.
Oh, yeah.
Now we know why he was there at Winterfell and was a fixture there, so that vacuum of Peter Baelish is already filled and he's already in position there at Winterfell. I thought that the scene overall was pretty cool. I thought Ian Gillan did a great job of kind of portraying Littlefinger having run out of a lot of options. I'm more or less curious at what other people on the panel felt about. Did you feel like it was a little bit more over the top? Did you feel like it was more appropriate for Littlefinger to die in sight of all of those people? Or do you think that it would have been, do you feel like it should have been a different situation where potentially Sansa was the one to kill him? Because I was personally thinking that it was going to be Sansa, especially in this episode, considering that the person who passes judgment has to swing the sword. So I thought that it would probably have been more appropriate for Sansa to have been that person sitting in that same chair where, Ned Stark made a lot of his decisions. So for me, I thought that Sansa, having had backed this guy in a corner, I think she should have done it. But outside of that, I thought the scene was good. I do think that Littlefinger, I mean, it's his character, and I know, hey, you're in that situation, you're probably going to sob too. It just seemed like a little bit more over the top for me. I was like, that's a little bit too much, But, it worked in the end.
Yeah, I thought he was going to make it farther. I thought that he was going to be a force to be reckoned with. Nor did I see the conspiracy. John, you're right. Fuck me.
Again? Yes!
And he's so humble.
Yes!
I do have a mute button.
7 years in the making for this. You betrayed my boy Ned Stark. You put a knife to his fucking throat. You betrayed him, and now it all comes into play. Yes! I love this shit. Okay, I loved it. I love how she goes, what do you say? And she looks right at him. Oh, this is awesome. And then Bran's like, he quoted exactly what he said, and right there he's like, I'm fucked. And he takes it with the knife too. This is the most beautiful scene. This is I love it so much. Satisfaction, man. This is awesome. The long con ends. Fuck you, Peter Baelish. You can't play the fucking Starks anymore, you motherfucker. Oh, I love it. Oh, you get on your knees and cry like a baby because you're not even mad enough to take your death, man. Okay, like my boy Ned. You motherfucker, you betrayed us. Oh my God, this is awesome. I love it. Sorry for my little rant. Oh my God, this is awesome. Oh.
Wow.
This is amazing.
Wow.
This is awesome.
Did anyone else notice that Bran? He makes a quote and he's like, "Yeah, I'm done. I just want to go back to the weirwood." I think we're gonna let Andrea talk because you got me all hyped up, John. I want to go punch somebody in the face now.
I hope Yardley's here. I agree. I think that I don't think that Ned would have approved of Sansa's method. He was really specific in season 1 and in book 1 that a person who uses an executioner isn't somebody who remembers how to rule. And Sansa did pass the sentence, and she should have swung the sword. And Arya even confirms, "I was just the executioner." I did think that it was all pretty much a given. I don't think that Sansa and Arya will ever turn against each other again. And that has nothing to do with, nothing that's happened before is going to impact what's going on with them now. Arya realizes more than ever what it was like to be away from her family. Of course, you know that I've always thought that Littlefinger was going to die this season. Ever since the season ended last year, I said that he was dying this year. I mean, there's just no possible way. There's so many people that, have converged together. It actually, to me, seemed pretty obvious when Arya came in and she was like, "It's time to judge the treasons against the North." And Arya was like, basically, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And Sansa was like, yeah, we demand you confess your treasons." And then she looked at Lord Baelish and she goes, "To you, Lord Baelish." And I knew at that point she hadn't really sentenced Arya when they got to or even accused Arya when they got to the point where Arya was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" So to me, it seemed like they were having more of a conversation than there were like an accusation towards Arya for treason. So I expected it coming. I did take note of the fact, and I'll go into detail about this later. I did take note of the fact that you could actually see Littlefinger and his little plea, crying on his knees on the floor, and everyone was like, "Go fuck yourself." And, he got hit with all the facts and he realized his time was up. And you can see in the background Arya just like stalking like a cat, like right behind him, nice and quiet, tippy-toeing. You could get that Syrio Farrell like influence where he was teaching her how to, how to be a cat, and then boom, he's getting his throat slit and you didn't even see her. She like took 2 steps and that was it. And his throat was like wide open. He had a second smile. So I thought it was a fantastic scene. I saw it coming. There was just no way that Arya was going to get caught up in a situation, in any situation where somebody is going to be playing her. She was trained way too well by Jock and Hagar. Syrio Farrell. All the people who had an influence in the Arya that she is right now. Her training was way too in depth. I can't see her making mistakes that everyone accused her of making these last couple of weeks. It just didn't make any sense to me.
It was funny because when he's like, "Oh no, please, don't, please," and then Sansa or Arya. To me, it was like Arya's like she's like, "Shut up," and just right to his throat. Like, just shut up. We're done.
Love it.
That was a pretty good scene. I know a lot of people did not like Littlefinger, but I did because of the extra bit of chaos he brought in. And he's dead now. So, all right, moving right along because we don't have time for that character anymore. So, death to you, sir. Now, this next scene kind of threw me off a little bit because it was confirmation that I was fucking wrong. And boy, I don't like admitting when I'm wrong. Who really does, right? We're only human.
You got to do all the time, too.
Fuck you, John. Cersei and Jaime, and Cersei, she's not fucking around. She's like, "Are you stupid? Are you stupid?" And Jaime's like, "Oh, you said we were going to help. Remember, it's the battle for life and death." And she's like, "You're a stupid ass. We're not going to help them. Don't be a jerk off." The other part I thought was interesting here was Jaime's trying to reason with her. He's trying to reason with her. Cersei says, "Well, fuck you. We have the Iron Bank, and we're going to get the Golden Company." I forget who predicted that on the podcast. One of you did. That
Yardley.
Was it Yardley? You were going to get the Golden Company. And then, the whole Euron went to go get the Golden Company. Then that was all set up. This was like I was like, wow, this is, conspiracies in conspiracies, which I thought was cool. Then I thought that I thought that Jaime was going to die there. I thought that Cersei was going to allow the Mountain to take his head off right then and there. I was glad that he was able to leave. Yardley, your thoughts on the scene?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of tension in the scene. Cersei, once again, showed that she's trying to plan ahead, but I think by her not letting the commander of her armies know the broader plan. And she was basically doing a tit for tat situation when she was accusing him of, not letting her know about the Tyrion meeting. Her tit for tat was a little bit more major, because when you get this type of information on your plate about what's coming, I think that it's natural for people to say, hey, we're going to have a truce. We're going to handle this. And maybe when it's all over, we'll see how the quest for the throne is going to play out, But once again, I can't fault Cersei for thinking the way that she does, because it's smart, but it's stupid. It's one of those things where if all of their armies are killed off, then everything's going to come north and get you anyway. Or you could all go north, die, and they still come south and get everybody anyway. So I think that everybody banding together, at least fighting for life, which is something that Barrick was saying in the previous episode, I think that we all pretty much agree that that's probably the best option for everybody to be in this together. But I can understand why she's thinking the way that she's thinking. And, it's going to probably eventually be her undoing, even though I myself personally, I don't think that anything with Cersei is going to even be resolved until the last 2 or 3 episodes of next season.
John, what are your thoughts on this particular scene? And did you think for one second that, if the mountain wouldn't have been there, I might have thought that Jaime would have tried to kill her or strangle her from like a lover's quarrel, just felt betrayed and started, going, laying in on her with his pimp hand. How cool would that have been a scene if the mountain was gone, he starts laying in with a pimp hand? Like, bitch, you crazy. Bam, bam, pimp hand, gold, pimp hand strong. You know what I'm saying? Or not.
Okay, that would have been awesome. I think I always said Jaime should kill him, but I'm gonna shock people here. I think Jaime redeemed himself in my eyes.
Oh,
Jaime redeemed himself in my eyes because he did the one thing he risked. He sacrificed his life. He sat there saying, cut me down. He didn't side with his sister. He literally was against her. He didn't get swayed over. He's like, I made a promise, and he left. And now he's heading north. He covered up his hand. He's heading north. He redeemed himself in my eyes because he went and finally did the one thing he can never do. He went truly against his sister's plan. He even risked his life for that. He's like, strike me down. I honestly thought he was going to die. I was on the edge of my seat. Man, come on, let's do this. Let's do this. But he's fully redeemed. He's going north to be with another person's going north to help fight. And that means another Valyrian steel sword is going north. So that makes 4 Valyrian swords are going to be in Winterfell. So you got Oathkeeper, Widow's Wail, Longclaw, and Heartsbane are now all in, plus the Valyrian steel dagger. So you got Valyrian steel weapons are all going to be north. So that's awesome. But Cersei's batshit crazy. Who are you going to fight a war against? Why are you bringing the 20,000 Golden Company here to fight who? What army is he going to fight? They're all in the north. You're going to fight who are you trying to conquer back? You're fucking batshit crazy, man. Like, seriously. It's fucking crazy. She's crazy. She needs to die. I don't think she's going to die at the end. I think she's going to die like the first 2 episodes of next season. Stop, man. You're so selfish. I just hate her so much.
Andrea, your thoughts, and I think you had a question for John, right?
I did, but he answered it. He said that Jaime redeemed himself, and Jaime didn't even have to kill Cersei, which just proves mine and your point, Chris, that Jaime has always had it in him to be an honorable man. And every single time he's around Brienne, he's reminded of the man or the knight that he wanted to be, and it, brings the best part of him out, And Cersei being, who she is, and finally seeing Jaime say, fine, kill me, and then she gives the nod. It was like the second time a brother tested her. The first time she was like, no, I'll let you live. The second time she was just like, fuck it, this is the second time today I've been tested. So she was like, do it. And then he was like, I don't believe you. And he stepped aside. My heart was in my throat. I was, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I almost really believe that Cersei would have the mountain kill Jaime. And I'm so glad that he walked around him and the mountain didn't do anything. And you saw Cersei kind of chase after him and then stop, like, fuck, I lost him, that's her fate. She just fucked herself when she was like, this child basically is all, I'm basically worried about, she signed her fate. And I mean, watching Jamie walk out of there, it was just like, finally he's, living up to his full potential. He's going to do, great things. And I was actually really happy, about the scene. And I was dying to ask John if he changed his mind about Jamie redeeming himself without killing his sister. And I'm really glad that we were able to prove you wrong, John.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it didn't have to be him being another, taking her life to prove that he was on a redemption arc. So I'm glad about that. Let's go to one of the most important parts of this entire episode, in my humble opinion. Of course, Sam shows up, and I'm like, yeah, Sam!
Yes.
Woo! Sam shows up, and of course he goes and sees Bran, the knower of all things, whether you want him to or not. Creeper. And he's like, oh, yeah, hi, Sam, I remember you. And Sam's like, hey, he remembered me. Hee, that's great. Oh, yeah, I'm the three-eyed raven. And Sam's like, okay, that's great. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
That was a great scene. Yarly, what were your thoughts on this, on that part? And, of course, we'll go deeper in on the rest of it, the visions and stuff, because that's ultimately just awesome.
Yeah, I love seeing Sam and Bran together. And I'm actually even more happy that what I was saying before about Bran not being able to see the future. He can see the past and he can see what's going on now in real time. And I think that that's great because you don't want an all-seeing being able to see the future. I think that kind of weakens things. And I thought that was cool that he revealed it. And we also know that he does not know everything because it took both of these characters together to kind of put all the pieces together about what's going on with Jon. So I was definitely heartened that Bran isn't this super duper being, but I was also heartened that he and Sam both had an opportunity to interact. Once again, I mean, Sam is great, and Sam is just looking more and more like an upstanding guy. He's not wearing the Night's Watch stuff. He just looks burly. He looks healthy. He looks like he's filled with knowledge, and he's ready to get it in. So I'm really curious what his role is going to be going forward, because to be honest with you, after this, what exactly is there left for Sam to do? I know he can get more knowledge of a few things, but I think we'll be seeing probably less of Sam after this. Does anybody agree?
I think that they'll work him in because he's a fan favorite, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. John, what are your thoughts on this particular scene, and how creepy is... It was nice, though, to see that Bran is not like the all-powerful, all-knowing, all-wise, knower of all things, that there are some things that he still needs to learn, and like bits and pieces, some of the detail. I mean, he knows a lot of stuff, and he is, Mr. Manhattan right now, but he's not infallible, and he's not Jesus Christ.
This is an awesome scene. The confirmation, another person now knows. I mean, it's so funny because he wasn't paying attention to what Gilly was saying, but then when he found out what Bran knows, he's like, oh wait, no. And he figured it out. So it's kind of awesome. I like how Bran's like, he's not a Snow, he's a Stan. He's like, no, he's not. And then he talks about the annulment, and he's like, he's a Targaryen. And then I don't know if we're gonna go into the flashback now, but
yeah, you can work us into it, because I know that work us into it, and then I'll let Andrea, take the rest of that as well.
I mean, oh my God, this is awesome! I love the flashback. It was so beautiful when Rhaegar's marrying Lyanna. Yes,
Rhaegar was not beautiful. That attractive, and his name is,
though. Huh?
I thought Rhaegar would be more attractive.
Yeah, I mean, his name is Aegon Targaryen. Oh, this is awesome. Andrea and I gotta give credit to Andrea and Gigi who came up with that. I agreed with you from day one. I gotta give them credit because they called that right off the bat. So I gotta give them that. So shout out to Andrea and Gigi for that. But that was just awesome. I love it. I was waiting all season for flashbacks, and I wish we had more. But I love this flashback, and then the scene afterwards is just gives me such a hearty. But I mean, it's like it was just so awesome. This is so awesome scene. Just and the way he was talking, and then they're showing. I think this is the first time they've done this, where he's talking and they're showing another scene. Like you're seeing Jon and Dany together while Bran is talking. I don't recall them ever doing a scene like that before in this show. So that was kind of awesome. So all that was awesome. I mean, I loved it so much.
I still think that they could have done better with Rhaegar. I just wasn't. A lot of people are agreeing with me in the chat. Thank you. He was meh. I was expecting more of a handsome. I mean, his younger brother was better looking.
It kind of looked like it was. Sorry to cut you off. It kind of looked like it was Viserys. It was
older Viserys. Like his face got mangled by time.
It kind of looked like from a distance, like it was the actor who played.
I agree with
her
Eric.
brother.
I agree with Eric in the chat. I thought that Rhaegar would look more like Orlando Bloom from Lord of the Rings. More, yeah, definitely better.
Like it is.
I mean, well, if he looked like Danny's brother, I mean, they are related.
Yeah,
So I mean, I mean, come on.
Andrea, tell us about your views on the dream, and of course, all the confirmation we got here. Right? Finally, all that shit put to rest. We can now say it's not theory anymore. It is legit, solid.
One of these days, everyone will learn that my theories are not all tinfoil. They're actually quite researched. I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm going to lack very little humility in the speech. And just because I want you guys to know this, I absolutely love everything that I do here on the podcast, but I have no humility right this moment. I called it. I said it. I had a fan reach out to me and ask me about the Tower of Joy scene. She got me into digging. I digged and I dug and I went all over the place. And I told you guys in the books, Jon's name is Aegon. Now, I don't know what that means for Elia's other son. I know for a fact this is not a blended plot. I've done the research. I knew it was Aegon. Shout out to you, Gisela, for doing the lip reading. 1 second, my dog is barking.
No, Paul, it hasn't been legit solid since last year. A lot of people have been arguing the name of Jon Snow, his real legitimate name. And there's also theories out there that Dany and Jon are brother and sister, not cousins. So now we do have.
They wouldn't be cousins now. They'd be aunt. That'd be Daenerys' nephew.
But you know what I mean, aunt and uncle. Yeah, you know what I mean, nephew. And but now we actually have the real. Now it's been said by characters. It's legit now. That's what I mean by it's legit.
That's awesome. I love it. I mean, and Andrea, just go crazy, Andrea. If you're back, just go crazy. Yeah. Just do it, because I agree with you. I agreed with you from day one. Go crazy, okay?
There's just too many parallels in the books and the show. Gisela called it last year. When we finally introduced my theory, it was episode 109, and right after that, Gisela called me on the phone and she says his name. She says his name is Aegon. And that was the very first little bit of confirmation that I had that Jon's actual name was Aegon. And that was completely separate of the show. So we went back and we watched the episode again. And sure enough, you could see her mouthing the words Aegon. So everyone disagreed. Everyone said it was Jaehaerys. Everyone said that it didn't make any sense for his name to be Aegon, because why would Rhaegar name both of his sons Aegon? And the simple answer is because he probably didn't. So it's a misunderstanding. There's fake Arias. There's fake people all over the place, different identities. Why not let there be a fake Aegon 2 times over? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense the way that the story goes. Anyways.
We even got hate mail on that, Remember we got hate mail? People calling us out saying you're wrong, that his name is Rhaegar, his name is Jaehaerys, his name is Bob's your uncle.
Oh, yeah. The thing that really bothered me about the scene the most was that when they said their vows, they said them with the vows of the 7 instead of the old, doing it before the old gods. I mean, yeah, they did it before a tree, but I am yours and you are mine, the mother, the maiden, the father, the crone. Lyanna didn't believe in any of that. I mean, I really thought that they were just going to go for the whole entire northern thing, the same way with the Night of the Laughing Tree. Also a little sad, and I called this last year, we didn't get the tourney of Harrenhal, so I'm sad that didn't happen. But overall, like, seeing the way that things worked out, how Sam and frickin' Bran put 2 and 2 together, where, Sam was like, wait a second, you said that Jon was born in Dorne? It really just kind of clicked for him, and I thought that was fantastic. And, seeing Bran actually have a conversation with somebody that's more, that's more than him just being a drone. And Yardley, you did call it. You said that he can't see in the future. I don't know if that's just because he hasn't finished his training or not, but I mean, it's good that we're actually seeing things in the present, because now we don't have to worry about, we're not going to be waiting a million years to see the conclusion of the show anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. But Yeah, it was just amazing seeing how they intertwined scenes from, the past
Yeah.
and the present and, flashing from Rhaegar and Lyanna to Jon and Daenerys and Tyrion's salty face and, it was amazing. I mean, there are no words. I can't wait to get off of this podcast and go and watch it 8 more times.
Me too.
Yeah, she had sex with her nephew.
It was beautiful.
Awesome. It's beautiful. I loved it.
I skipped.
I loved it.
Oh,
Hard on.
Did I skip? Oh, no, I didn't, because the secret wedding, okay, the next part was John and Dany. Aegon is his name, Woot, sex. I wrote Woot, sex, and heir to the throne. It was good how Bran narrated all those things as they were going through. Yes, I think that's Danielle. I missed your name there. I think it was Danielle. I thought it was kind of gross, too. And
Danielle.
yeah, Peter, I think it's weird as well. But it is the Game of Thrones universe, and I guess it's better than brother-sister fuckers.
There's generation removed. I just don't understand. You guys do realize that everyone is marrying their first cousin. Even Tywin married his first cousin, Joanna. So they're one generation removed. Whether she's his aunt or or his cousin, it's the same situation. They're a generation removed. So it's legal. You know what I mean? Like at some point, we all have to accept the fact that incest was a part of our history, and it doesn't make it any better. But sitting here and saying it's gross now, it doesn't change anything.
Well, yeah, because it happened, and it is a fantasy, so we can at least rest in peace knowing that.
True that.
Woot sex scene. I thought the sex scene was great, but I'm still wondering those fucking scars. How do you fuck somebody that's covered in those disgusting scars? Yardley, how did you feel about the scene? Dany and John getting busy on the boat.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to stay consistent. I thought it was shit with Jamie fucking Cersei. I think it's shit with the aunt fucking her nephew. So I'm going to stay consistent. I get what they're trying to do, but I had to put that out there first. I thought the scene was pretty cool because I liked how that scene and the other things that were going on were edited together. I thought that worked really well. But the thing that stood out to me the most was Tyrion pulling a little finger, kind of creeping around the corner while everything is going on. It just makes me think that there's something else going on with that character, and it kind of leads me to believe that there was more said between him and Cersei earlier in the episode that we're probably going to find out about next season. But I guess if you were a fan and you shipped Dany and John, this episode definitely provided everybody with a little bit of something that they need. And also, the whole thing about when we were discussing, pregnancy, whether or not Dany can get pregnant or not, when you look at the way that all of these scenes were edited together, there is kind of a thread that kind of leads you to believe that there is a possibility that something could happen with her potentially on that front too. So I thought it was cool that they kind of put that in there. So,
True that.
So it worked. It worked out, but I just had to put it out there that I can't be too much of a hypocrite. When I was talking shit about Jamie and Cersei when we first started doing these shows, and now all of a sudden, I'm kind of flipping on that. So I'm gonna stay consistent. Don't fuck your family.
Yeah, and that's what's great about having a podcast like this and a great team of individuals. We get so many different perspectives. I mean, the secret to life is perspective, in my opinion. So that makes it very fun. John, what's your take on this? Because I know you're let's just have it.
Day one, I've been wanting this and it happened. I love it so much. The wolf and the dragon laid together in bed, or dragon and dragon, doesn't matter. It's just so awesome, and she's gonna be pregnant out of this, and she's gonna give birth to Ned Targaryen. Oh my god, this is awesome! I love this so much. Okay, and Tyrion's a little, I don't know if I guess he's jealous. Maybe he's thinking the corner. He's jealous because John's hooking up with Dany. I mean, it's awesome. Oh my god, I just love it so much. I mean, I definitely got a hard on from that. It was awesome. The blending of the scenes are beautiful, and I mean, I've been waiting like all season for these guys to hook up, and I'm not disappointed. I love it so much. Okay, Dany's pregnant with little baby Ned. Okay, because John's gonna name him Ned. I don't care what anyone says. He's naming him Ned, so that's gonna be awesome. So I mean, I love it so much. This is man.
They really blended the scenes together.
Well,
Yeah,
if you think
beautiful.
about it, huh?
I said, yeah, it was beautiful the way that they did it.
Beautiful. Yeah, like where Bran is talking about the Lyanna stuff, and you have that going on. That's the first time in the show that they've really done narration while another scene's happening. So I love that.
Oh no, that's not what I meant by blending. I thought they
well,
were. I thought that they
it was
blended
beautiful.
the two.
It was
Well, it
such a
doesn't matter.
beautiful
We'll talk about
scene.
it later.
I was crying, like a lot of emotions are in the air for this episode,
Wow.
man. I was crying so hard. I was like so sad, so happy, like seeing them together. In the love boat. I mean, oh my god, it's awesome. So beautiful.
The love boat.
It's the love boat, man. They're in love
You're
now.
so cute.
I mean, we're gonna have little baby Ned, man. It's gonna be little baby Eddard is gonna be born. Okay, I mean, this is everything. My emotions were on high in all these episodes. They knew what I wanted. I think they knew they listened to this podcast. They're like, this is what John wants. This is what Andrea wants. So we're gonna like give Andrea and John what they want. I think D&D listened to us because they took everything we wanted. We wanted Peter dead. Everything we wanted, and they put it into this. Is awesome. I mean, the climax of a love scene. I mean, of this love was awesome.
Andrea, is this? Or do you agree with John? And wouldn't you think the scars? Because did the scars heal? I mean, is at least healed up? Like, ugh.
Well, I don't believe he's oozing blood at this point.
That's
I think
a good
it's
point.
just a fresh, raw wound. And to be honest with you, if I was Daenerys, I wouldn't let those stop me. I'm pretty sure that she looks at those and she thinks that he's beautiful. I mean, Daenerys is, she married Khal Drogo and he was this amazing warrior. And Jon is no different. And he's not scared. And he literally was about to challenge the Night King because he killed her dragon, I'm sure she looks at him and she can see nothing. I mean, it's happened to me before, falling in love and looking at a person who's obviously flawed and seeing no flaws, you know what I mean? So I don't think that it would deter Daenerys at all or even have any bearing on how she feels.
I hope that
I'm
someday.
not bothered by this at all. I think that regardless of the family situation between the two of them, I think that both of them deserve to be happy. I think that Jon, taking this step on his own, he took the initiative in the situation, which was absolutely astounding to me. It opens this, this new chapter for him. He even turned down Melisandre because he was in love with Ygritte. So the fact that he's going, this route with Daenerys shows that this is more to him than just, sleeping with a woman because, you're feeling yourself. He's in love with her and she's in love with him. And so this is like this